The moment I went down on one knee, my heart started pounding so loudly that I could barely hear the music around me. Not because I was unsure, because I had already given 2 years of my life to this moment. 2 years of caring. 2 years of sacrifice. 2 years of believing that one day, she would finally choose me. Tonight was supposed to be that day. The restaurant looked perfect. Too perfect. Golden lights hung from the ceiling, reflecting softly across the glass table between us. Candle flames flickered gently, sending dancing shadows across the walls. Fresh red roses surrounded our table, filling the air with a sweet, heavy scent. Everything was romantic. Everything was beautiful. Everything was ready. Except her reaction. I slowly pulled the velvet ring box from my pocket. The moment it appeared in my hand, nearby conversations began to fade. People noticed instantly. A few diners turned their heads. One couple smiled knowingly. They thought they knew how this would end. They thought she would smile. They thought she would say yes. So did I. I took a slow breath and lowered myself fully onto one knee. The cold floor pressed against my leg, sending a sharp chill up my spine. But that wasn't the real discomfort. The real discomfort was the look in her eyes. Olivia sat across from me, perfectly calm, perfectly still. Too still. Her dark hair rested neatly over her shoulders, her posture elegant as always. She looked beautiful, the kind of beauty that made people stare when she walked into a room. But tonight, her face showed no excitement, no surprise, no emotion, just quiet observation. That was the first moment something inside me felt wrong. Olivia, I said. Even speaking her name felt heavy. I've waited 2 years for this. Her lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. That silence hit me harder than I expected. Still, I continued, because stopping now wasn't an option. Not after everything I had done. I stood beside you, I added, forcing my voice to stay steady. When things were falling apart. Images flashed inside my mind. Late nights. Long shifts. Moments when I skipped meals so she wouldn't have to. Moments when I stayed awake while she cried quietly, pretending she was strong. I remembered selling my motorcycle to help cover her rent. I remembered skipping my own dreams to support hers. Every sacrifice. Every struggle. Every promise. All leading to this one moment. I opened the ring box slowly. The diamond caught the candlelight instantly, sending tiny flashes of light across the table. Beautiful. Expensive. Worth everything I had saved. Because I believed she was worth it. Olivia, I repeated. This time, my voice felt tighter. More fragile. More exposed. Will you marry me? There it was. The question that carried 2 years of my life inside it. The restaurant grew quieter. People turned to watch. Waiters paused mid-step. Someone nearby whispered softly. Everyone expected the same ending. Yes. Of course yes. That's how these moments always went. But Olivia didn't speak. Not immediately. She didn't smile. Didn't gasp. Didn't cry. She just stared at me. Silent. Unmoving. Cold. Seconds passed. 1, 2, 3. Each second stretched longer than the last. My heart kept pounding, but now it felt different. Not hopeful. Not excited. Afraid. Because silence. Silence was dangerous. Her fingers rested lightly on the table. Too still. Her eyes lowered briefly to the ring, then returned to my face. Still silent. Still thinking. Not emotional. Not overwhelmed. Calculating. That realization made my chest tighten painfully. She wasn't reacting like someone in love. She was reacting like someone making a decision. A calculation. A comparison. Like I was an option. Not her future. Whispers began forming around us. Soft. Uncomfortable. Confused. Why isn't she answering? What's happening? Did she reject him? Each whisper felt like a blade pressing into my back. Olivia. I tried again. This time, my voice cracked slightly. Just enough to reveal the fear I was trying to hide. Still. Nothing. No answer. No smile. No movement. Just silence. Cold. Heavy. Humiliating silence. And suddenly, I understood something terrifying. She wasn't struggling to answer. She already knew her answer. She just didn't want to say it. That silence was her rejection. Slowly, very slowly, I closed the ring box. Click. That small sound echoed louder than expected. Final. Sharp. Irreversible. Olivia's eyes widened slightly at the sound. Finally. A reaction. But it came too late. Far too late. I stood up slowly. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just quietly. Like someone accepting the truth. You don't have to answer, I said calmly. My voice sounded different now. Colder. Stronger. Detached. Because something inside me had just broken. And once something breaks, it never returns the same. Her lips parted again. Like she wanted to speak. But hesitation held her back once more. Always hesitation. Always silence. And that was the exact moment I made my decision. If she couldn't choose me after 2 years, then I wouldn't wait another second. Because sometimes, silence isn't confusion. It's rejection. And sometimes, walking away isn't losing. Sometimes, walking away is the first time you finally choose yourself. The sound of the ring box closing still echoed inside my head. Click. Such a small sound. Yet it felt louder than every whisper in the restaurant combined. Because that sound didn't just close a ring box. It closed 2 years of hope. 2 years of loyalty. 2 years of believing in someone who never truly chose me. I stared at Olivia for one last second. Waiting. Not for love. Not for excitement. Just for a word. Any word. Even a weak one. Even a late one. But she still said nothing. Her lips parted slightly again, like she wanted to speak, but hesitation held her back. That hesitation was louder than rejection. Because rejection ends things. Hesitation keeps you trapped. And I was done being trapped. You don't have to answer, I repeated quietly. My voice sounded unfamiliar. Colder. Sharper. Like it belonged to someone else. Someone who had finally stopped begging to be chosen. The whispers around us grew louder now. People were staring openly. Phones were raised. Recording. Watching. Waiting for drama. Waiting for humiliation. But I refused to give them that satisfaction. Not tonight. Not anymore. I placed the ring box back into my pocket slowly. Carefully. Like I was putting away something fragile. Something expensive. Something wasted. Olivia finally moved. Just slightly. Her fingers twitched on the table. Her brows furrowed faintly. You're leaving? She asked quietly. Her voice sounded unsure. Almost confused. That question alone made something bitter rise inside my chest. Leaving? After 2 years of standing beside her, she still didn't understand? I waited long enough, I replied calmly. Not loud. Not angry. Just final. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You didn't even let me answer, she said. That sentence almost made me laugh. Almost. Because that silence had already answered everything. 2 full years of loyalty. Deserved faster than hesitation. Deserved faster than doubt. If you wanted to say yes, I replied quietly, you would have said it already. The truth landed between us like a stone. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Unavoidable. For the first time tonight. She looked uncertain. Not confident. Not calm. Uncertain. And somehow, that made the pain inside my chest feel colder. Sharper. More real. I just needed time, she said finally. Time. That word felt insulting. Painfully insulting. 2 years of my life. And she still needed time? Time to decide if I was enough? Time to decide if I was worth choosing? That realization burned deeper than humiliation. Because love shouldn't feel like negotiation. Love shouldn't feel like evaluation. Love should feel certain. And she was never certain about me. I stepped back from the table slowly. Each step felt heavier than expected. Like I was leaving behind something invisible. Something I once believed in. But something inside me had changed. Permanently. Irreversibly. I gave you time, I said calmly. 2 years of it. That sentence made her flinch slightly. Just a small reaction. But I noticed it. Because tonight, I noticed everything. The hesitation. The doubt. The silence. Things I ignored before, now stood clear in front of me. Unavoidable. Raw. Real. I turned slightly, preparing to leave. But before I could take another step, her voice stopped me. Wait. Just one word. But it sounded different this time. Urgent. Sharp. Almost desperate. I paused. Not because I wanted to. Because I needed to hear what came next. You're overreacting, she said. That sentence. That one sentence. Destroyed the last piece of hope I had left. Overreacting? After kneeling in front of dozens of strangers. After exposing my heart. After waiting 2 years. She thought I was overreacting? A bitter smile almost formed on my lips. Almost. But I swallowed it. Because arguing now felt pointless. Meaningless. I'll give you your answer later, she added quickly. Later. Another delay. Another hesitation. Another empty promise. That word confirmed everything I already knew. She didn't want to lose me. But she also didn't want to choose me. And that was the worst position anyone could stand in. Half wanted. Half needed. Never fully loved. I took a slow breath. Deep. Heavy. Final. No, I said quietly. That single word made her eyes widen instantly. No, she repeated. Her voice carried disbelief now. Confusion. Fear. Yes, I replied calmly. No more later. No more waiting. No more guessing. No more hoping. Because tonight, something inside me had finally woken up. And for the first time in 2 years, I started thinking about myself. Not her. Not us. Me. And the moment that thought formed, another realization followed immediately. A dangerous one. A freeing one. If she couldn't choose me, then maybe it was time I chose myself. And this time, I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I wasn't leaving empty-handed. That thought repeated inside my mind the moment I stepped away from the restaurant table. Each step toward the exit felt heavier than the last. Not because I was weak. Because I was finally seeing the truth. The cold night air hit my face the moment I pushed the glass door open. Fresh. Sharp. Almost painful. But somehow, it felt cleaner than the air inside that restaurant. Cleaner than the silence I had just walked away from. Behind me, I heard the door open again. Fast footsteps followed. Then, Ethan, wait. Olivia's voice reached me before her hand did. Her fingers grabbed my arm tightly. Too tightly. Like she was afraid I might disappear if she loosened her grip. I stopped walking. Not because I wanted to. Because the tension in her voice felt different now. More urgent. More desperate. I turned slowly to face her. For the first time tonight. Her calm expression had cracked. Her breathing was uneven. Her eyes no longer looked distant. They looked worried. What are you doing? She asked quickly. Her voice trembled slightly. Not enough for others to notice. But enough for me to hear. I'm leaving, I replied simply. No anger. No drama. Just truth. Her grip tightened. You're being irrational, she said. There it was again. That tone. That cold, logical tone she used whenever emotions made her uncomfortable. You embarrassed me back there, she added. That sentence froze me in place. Embarrassed her. Not hurt. Not sorry. Not guilty. Embarrassed. That single word confirmed everything I feared. Even now, even after everything, she still cared more about pride than love. You embarrassed yourself, I replied calmly. Her eyes widened slightly. That response surprised her. Good. She wasn't used to me pushing back. Not like this. Not this firmly. Listen, she said quickly, lowering her voice. Let's go home and talk. Home. That word felt strange now. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Because suddenly, that apartment didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a place where I had slowly lost myself. I don't think there's anything left to talk about, I replied. Her fingers tightened again. This time, harder. Yes, there is, she insisted. Her voice sounded sharper now. More controlled. More defensive. "You're acting like this is the end of everything," she added. That sentence made something inside me twist painfully. Because for me, it was the end. Not of love. Not of care. But of waiting. Of hoping. Of sacrificing myself for someone who never chose me. "You stayed silent," I said quietly. Her eyes flickered slightly. A small reaction. But noticeable. "I needed time," she repeated again. Time. Always time. Never certainty. Never commitment. That pattern suddenly felt obvious. Painfully obvious. And then, another thought entered my mind. A dangerous one. One that changed everything. Because there was something she didn't know. Something I had kept hidden for 2 years. Not because I wanted to deceive her. Because I wanted to protect myself. Protect my future. Protect the one thing I never fully trusted her with. Money. Real money. Not savings. Not small amounts. Life-changing money. Money that sat quietly in an account she had never seen. Money I earned before I met her. Money I never mentioned. Not once. Because deep inside, a part of me always feared this moment. Feared this exact outcome. Feared giving everything to someone who might never fully give back. And tonight, that hidden money suddenly felt like my only protection. My only escape. "What are you thinking?" Olivia asked suddenly. Her voice sounded cautious now. Suspicious. Like she sensed something shifting inside me. I looked at her carefully. Really looked. At the woman I once believed I would marry. At the woman I sacrificed so much for. And for the first time, I noticed something unsettling. She wasn't scared of losing me. She was scared of losing control. That realization felt like ice spreading through my chest. Cold. Sharp. Clear. "I'm thinking," I said slowly. My voice calm. Controlled. Dangerously calm. "That maybe I stayed too long." Her brows furrowed instantly. "What does that mean?" she asked. Confusion filled her expression now. Real confusion. Because she had never imagined this version of me. Never imagined the quiet man who always agreed. Would finally choose himself. I took a slow breath. Deep. Steady. Final. "It means," I said quietly, "I'm done waiting." Her grip loosened slightly. Just enough. Enough for me to step back. Enough for distance to form between us. Because tonight wasn't just the end of a proposal. It was the beginning of something else. Something colder. Something stronger. Something far more dangerous. Because the moment I remembered the money she didn't know about, I realized something terrifying. For the first time in 2 years, I had the power to leave. And this time, I intended to use it. The moment I stepped back, something inside her expression changed. Not anger. Not sadness. Suspicion. Real suspicion. Like she could sense that something had shifted. Something she didn't understand yet. "What do you mean you're done waiting?" Olivia asked. Her voice sounded sharper now. Less calm. Less confident. For the first time tonight, she didn't look in control. And that alone made my chest feel strangely steady. "I mean exactly what I said," I replied calmly. No shouting. No arguing. Just truth. That seemed to bother her more than anything else. Because silence, cold silence, was something she wasn't used to from me. "You're overreacting," she said again. But this time, her words lacked strength. Like even she wasn't fully convinced anymore. I stared at her quietly. Really stared. And suddenly, memories began flashing through my mind. Bills I paid without complaint. Late nights I worked without telling her. The time she casually ordered expensive things while I quietly adjusted my budget. Back then, I told myself it was love. Now, it looked dangerously close to exploitation. "You know what the worst part is?" I asked quietly. That question caught her off guard instantly. Her brows furrowed. "What?" she asked. Her voice sounded cautious now. Careful. Like she was walking into unknown territory. "The worst part," I continued slowly, "is that you never even noticed how much I gave up for you." Silence followed immediately. Heavy. uncomfortable. But this time, she was the one feeling it. "I never asked you to sacrifice anything," she replied quickly. That answer hit harder than expected. Not because it was loud. Because it was honest. And cold. She truly believed that. She truly believed my sacrifices meant nothing because she never directly demanded them. That realization burned deeper than rejection itself. "You didn't have to ask," I said quietly. "I chose to." Her lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't respond. Couldn't respond. Because deep down, she knew it was true. And then, another thought surfaced inside my mind. A dangerous one. One that changed the direction of everything. Because there was something she still didn't know. Something I had kept hidden for years. Not because I wanted secrets. Because I needed protection. From moments exactly like this. "You know what else you don't know?" I asked calmly. That question made her stiffen instantly. "What are you talking about?" she asked. Her voice sounded guarded now. Uneasy. Like she sensed the ground shifting beneath her feet. I reached into my jacket pocket slowly. Not for the ring. Not this time. For something else. My wallet. I pulled it out and opened it carefully. Inside was a small card. Plain. Simple. But powerful. Very powerful. Her eyes followed my movements closely. Curious. Suspicious. Uneasy. "What is that?" she asked quietly. Her voice had changed again. Now it carried something new. Fear. Not loud fear. Not obvious fear. But quiet, creeping fear. The kind that grows when someone realizes they might not know the person standing in front of them anymore. I held the card between my fingers, letting her see it clearly. A bank card. Dark. Minimal. Unfamiliar. One she had never seen before. Not once in 2 years. "This," I said quietly, "is the reason I'm not afraid to walk away." Her eyes locked onto the card. Focused. Sharp. Confused. "What does that mean?" she asked slowly. Her voice sounded tighter now. Less certain. Less confident. I watched her carefully. Measured her reaction. Studied the shift happening in real time. 2 years, I said calmly. 2 years, and you still don't know everything about me. That sentence hit harder than I expected. Because it wasn't just about money. It was about control. Power. Independence. Things she always assumed I lacked. Her eyes lifted slowly from the card. Back to my face. Searching. Analyzing. Trying to understand. Trying to calculate. But for the first time, she couldn't. Because tonight, I wasn't the same man she had always controlled. Tonight, I was the man she never truly understood. And the moment fear finally appeared in her eyes, I realized something powerful. The balance between us had just changed. And this time, I was the one holding the advantage. Her eyes didn't leave the card. Not even for a second. Like that small piece of plastic had suddenly become the most dangerous thing in the world. What does that even mean? Olivia asked again. Her voice was quieter now. Careful. Almost cautious. That change alone made my pulse slow down. Because this was the first time. She didn't sound confident. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I slipped the card back into my wallet slowly. Deliberately. Letting the silence stretch between us. Silence had always been her weapon. Tonight, it was mine. You never told me you had another account, she said. Her tone wasn't accusing. Not yet. It was suspicious. Uneasy. Like she was trying to solve a puzzle she didn't like. I never told you a lot of things, I replied calmly. That answer made her jaw tighten slightly. Not anger. Fear. Because secrets meant uncertainty. And uncertainty meant loss of control. How much? She asked suddenly. That question came faster than expected. Direct. Sharp. Dangerous. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny. Because it was predictable. Money had always been her comfort. Her security. Her measure of power. And now, she wanted to measure mine. But this time, I didn't give her the answer. Not fully. Enough, I said quietly. One word. Simple. but heavy with meaning. Her brows pulled together instantly. "That's not an answer," she said. Her voice sharpened again, but underneath it, tension crept in. Real tension. The kind that forms when someone realizes they might have underestimated you. "Enough to leave," I added calmly. That sentence landed harder than expected. Her breathing slowed. Her fingers curled slightly at her sides. "Leave where?" she asked. Now her voice carried something new. Uncertainty. Not anger. Not pride. Uncertainty. Because suddenly, she realized something terrifying. I didn't need her anymore. Not emotionally. Not financially. Not at all. And that realization shook her. More than rejection ever could. "You always said I depended on you," I continued quietly. "You always believed I needed you to survive." She didn't respond. Didn't argue. Didn't deny it. Because deep down, she knew it was true. She had always believed she held the advantage. Always believed I was replaceable. Predictable. Safe. But tonight, that illusion was breaking. Slowly. Dangerously. "How much?" she repeated again. This time, her voice sounded tighter. Almost strained. Like the answer itself frightened her. I stepped slightly closer. Not aggressively. Not dramatically. Just enough to make her hold her breath. Then I leaned closer. And spoke quietly. Softly. Coldly. "A lot more than you think." That sentence froze her completely. Her eyes widened. Not dramatically. Just slightly. But enough. Enough to reveal the truth. Because she wasn't scared of losing me. She was scared of losing what she thought I was worth. And that realization made something cold settle inside my chest. Because the real suspense wasn't about the money. It was about what she would do. Once she realized how much power she had just lost. Her grip on my arm loosened. Not completely. Just enough to show hesitation. That tiny shift told me everything. For the first time in 2 years, Olivia wasn't sure of her position anymore. "Ethan," she said again. My name sounded different now. Softer. Careful. Like she was choosing her words instead of controlling them. "What are you trying to say?" I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I slid the card back into my wallet. Slowly. Deliberately. Letting her watch every movement. Because now, every second mattered. Every pause had meaning. "You always thought you knew me," I said finally. Calm. Measured. Cold. Her brows tightened slightly. "I do know you," she replied quickly. Too quickly. That response wasn't confidence. It was defense. A reaction. And reactions come from fear. "Do you?" I asked quietly. The question landed heavier than expected. She didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because deep down, she was already questioning it. The silence between us returned again. But this time, it wasn't suffocating me. It was suffocating her. "What's in that account?" she asked suddenly. There it was. The real question. Not about love. Not about us. About money. About security. About control. And that alone told me exactly where her priorities stood. I tilted my head slightly, studying her. "You're asking the wrong question," I said calmly. Her expression shifted again. Confusion. Frustration. And something deeper. Unease. "Then what's the right question?" she asked. Her voice tightened. Like she didn't like where this was going. "The right question," I said slowly, "is why I never told you about it." That sentence hit differently. I saw it in her eyes. A flicker. A realization forming. Because that wasn't about money anymore. That was about trust. Or the lack of it. "You didn't trust me?" she asked. Her voice dropped slightly. Not angry. Not yet. Just uncertain. I held her gaze. Didn't look away. Didn't soften. "I trusted you," I said quietly. "Just not with everything." That was the truth. Raw. Unfiltered. And it hurt her more than I expected. Her fingers pulled back completely now. Breaking contact. Creating distance. Because now, she was the one stepping away. Not physically. Mentally. Emotionally. Processing something she had never considered before. "You think I would have used you?" she asked. There was something sharp in her voice now. Defensive. Almost offended. But underneath that was something else. Fear. Because the question itself meant she had thought about it. At least once. I didn't answer her directly. Because sometimes silence says more than words. And right now, my silence was louder than anything I could have said. Her breathing grew uneven again. Faster. More noticeable. Because the more she thought about it, the more uncertain she became. And uncertainty was something Olivia had never been comfortable with. Especially when she wasn't the one in control. "What's in that account, Ethan?" she asked again. This time, her voice wasn't calm. It wasn't controlled. It was urgent. Almost desperate. And that was the exact moment I realized something important. She wasn't afraid of losing me. Not completely. She was afraid of losing what she didn't know I had. And that fear was growing fast. Because the truth she was trying to uncover was far bigger than she imagined. And once she found out, there would be no going back. Her eyes didn't move. Locked on me. Waiting. Demanding. "What's in that account, Ethan?" she asked again. This time, there was no calm left in her voice. No control. Just urgency. Pure, growing urgency. I exhaled slowly. Not because I was nervous. Because I was deciding how much to reveal. How much to hold back. Because once certain truths come out, they can't be taken back. "Enough," I said finally. One word. Simple. But it hit harder than expected. Her brows furrowed instantly. "Enough for what?" she asked quickly. Her voice tightened again. Sharp. Almost impatient. I watched her carefully. Measured every reaction. Because now, this wasn't a conversation anymore. It was a shift. A complete reversal of power. "Enough," I repeated calmly. "To make sure I never have to stay somewhere I'm not wanted." Silence followed immediately. Heavy. Sharp. Uncomfortable. Her lips parted slightly. But no words came out. Because that answer wasn't what she expected. Not even close. "You're exaggerating," she said finally. But her voice lacked conviction. Completely. Because deep down, she knew I wasn't. "You think this is about money?" she added quickly. That question almost made me smile. Almost. Because she still didn't understand. Or maybe she was starting to. "It's not about money," I said quietly. "That's just the difference between staying and leaving." That sentence landed like a weight between us. Because it wasn't just about wealth. It was about freedom. Choice. Power. Things she always assumed I didn't have. Things she now realized I did. Her breathing became uneven again. Noticeably so. Because everything she believed about me was starting to crack. Slowly. Dangerously. "How much?" she asked suddenly. There it was. The question she couldn't hold back anymore. Not "Why didn't you tell me?" Not "Why would you leave?" But, "How much?" That single question revealed everything. And she knew it. I saw it in her eyes the moment the words left her mouth. Regret. Instant regret. Because now, she had exposed her priority. Clearly. Unmistakably. And there was no taking that back. I stepped closer. Just one step. Enough to make her hold her breath. Enough to make the moment feel tighter. Heavier. More real. "If the number matters to you," I said quietly, "then you already have your answer." Her eyes widened slightly. Shock. Real shock this time. Because she understood exactly what I meant. And for the first time tonight, she didn't try to argue. Didn't try to explain. Didn't try to defend herself. Because there was nothing left to defend. The silence between us returned once again. But now, it felt different. Darker. More dangerous. Because the truth wasn't hidden anymore. It was right there. Between us. Unspoken. Unavoidable. And the worst part? We both understood it. Perfectly. And once two people understand the truth, There's no pretending anymore. No going back. Only one question remains. Who walks away first? And judging by the way her hands trembled slightly, she was starting to realize it wasn't going to be me. Her eyes didn't move. Locked on me. Waiting. Demanding. What's in that account, Ethan? She asked again. This time, there was no calm left in her voice. No control. Just urgency. Pure, growing urgency. I exhaled slowly. Not because I was nervous. Because I was deciding how much to reveal. How much to hold back. Because once certain truths come out, they can't be taken back. Enough, I said finally. One word. Simple. But it hit harder than expected. Her brows furrowed instantly. Enough for what? She asked quickly. Her voice tightened again. Sharp. Almost impatient. I watched her carefully. Measured every reaction. Because now, this wasn't a conversation anymore. It was a shift. A complete reversal of power. Enough, I repeated calmly. To make sure I never have to stay somewhere I'm not wanted. Silence followed immediately. Heavy. Sharp. Uncomfortable. Her lips parted slightly. But no words came out. Because that answer wasn't what she expected. Not even close. You're exaggerating, she said finally. But her voice lacked conviction. Completely. Because deep down, she knew I wasn't. You think this is about money? She added quickly. That question almost made me smile. Almost. Because she still didn't understand. Or maybe she was starting to. It's not about money, I said quietly. That's just the difference between staying and leaving. That sentence landed like a weight between us. Because it wasn't just about wealth. It was about freedom. Choice. Power. Things she always assumed I didn't have. Things she now realized I did. Her breathing became uneven again. Noticeably so. Because everything she believed about me was starting to crack. Slowly. Dangerously. How much? She asked suddenly. There it was. The question she couldn't hold back anymore. Not why didn't you tell me? Not why would you leave? But, how much? That single question revealed everything. And she knew it. I saw it in her eyes the moment the words left her mouth. Regret. Instant regret. Because now, she had exposed her priority. Clearly. Unmistakably. And there was no taking that back. I stepped closer. Just one step. Enough to make her hold her breath. Enough to make the moment feel tighter. Heavier. More real. If the number matters to you, I said quietly, then you already have your answer. Her eyes widened slightly. Shock. Real shock this time. Because she understood exactly what I meant. And for the first time tonight, she didn't try to argue. Didn't try to explain. Didn't try to defend herself. Because there was nothing left to defend. The silence between us returned once again. But now, it felt different. Darker. More dangerous. Because the truth wasn't hidden anymore. It was right there. Between us. Unspoken. Unavoidable. And the worst part? We both understood it. Perfectly. And once two people understand the truth, there's no pretending anymore. No going back. Only one question remains. Who walks away first? And judging by the way her hands trembled slightly, she was starting to realize it wasn't going to be me. Her eyes didn't move. Locked on me. Waiting. Demanding. What's in that account, Ethan? She asked again. This time, there was no calm left in her voice. No control. Just urgency. Pure, growing urgency. I exhaled slowly. Not because I was nervous. Because I was deciding how much to reveal. How much to hold back. Because once certain truths come out, they can't be taken back. Enough, I said finally. One word. Simple. But it hit harder than expected. Her brows furrowed instantly. Enough for what? She asked quickly. Her voice tightened again. Sharp. Almost impatient. I watched her carefully. Measured every reaction. Because now, this wasn't a conversation anymore. It was a shift. A complete reversal of power. Enough, I repeated calmly. To make sure I never have to stay somewhere I'm not wanted. Silence followed immediately. Heavy, sharp, uncomfortable. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out, because that answer wasn't what she expected. Not even close. You're exaggerating, she said finally, but her voice lacked conviction. Completely. Because deep down, she knew I wasn't. You think this is about money, she added quickly. That question almost made me smile. Almost. Because she still didn't understand. Or maybe she was starting to. It's not about money, I said quietly. That's just the difference between staying and leaving. That sentence landed like a weight between us. Because it wasn't just about wealth. It was about freedom, choice, power. Things she always assumed I didn't have. Things she now realized I did. Her breathing became uneven again. Noticeably so. Because everything she believed about me was starting to crack. Slowly. Dangerously. How much? She asked suddenly. There it was. The question she couldn't hold back anymore. Not why didn't you tell me? Not why would you leave? But, how much? That single question revealed everything. And she knew it. I saw it in her eyes the moment the words left her mouth. Regret. Instant regret. Because now, she had exposed her priority. Clearly. Unmistakably. And there was no taking that back. I stepped closer. Just one step. Enough to make her hold her breath. Enough to make the moment feel tighter. Heavier. More real. If the number matters to you, I said quietly, then you already have your answer. Her eyes widened slightly. Shock. Real shock this time. Because she understood exactly what I meant. And for the first time tonight, she didn't try to argue. Didn't try to explain. Didn't try to defend herself. Because there was nothing left to defend. The silence between us returned once again. But now, it felt different. Darker. More dangerous. Because the truth wasn't hidden anymore. It was right there. Between us. Unspoken. Unavoidable. And the worst part? We both understood it. Perfectly. And once two people understand the truth, there's no pretending anymore. No going back. Only one question remains. Who walks away first? And judging by the way her hands trembled slightly, she was starting to realize. It wasn't going to be me. Her hand slipped away from mine. Slowly. Like she was trying to hold on. But didn't have the strength anymore. For a moment, neither of us moved. The street around us felt strangely quiet. Distant traffic. Cold air. Faint lights flickering above. But between us, there was only silence. Not the same silence as before. This one was heavier. Final. Ethan, she said softly. My name sounded different now. No control. No confidence. Just loss. I didn't turn back. Didn't step closer. Didn't respond. Because I already knew. If I looked at her again, I might hesitate. And hesitation was something I couldn't afford anymore. You're really going to end it like this? She asked. Her voice cracked slightly. Just enough to reveal what she was trying to hide. Emotion. Real emotion. But it came too late. I didn't end anything, I said quietly. Still facing away. You did. That truth landed harder than anything else tonight. Because deep down, she knew it was true. I didn't say no, she replied quickly. Almost defensively. That sentence made me pause. Just for a second. Not because it convinced me. Because it revealed something important. She still didn't understand. You didn't say yes either, I answered. Calm. Final. And that was the difference. Silence might feel safe. But sometimes, silence destroys everything. Her footsteps moved slightly behind me. Closer. Careful. Like she wasn't sure if she still had the right. We can fix this, she said. Her voice was softer now. Fragile. We just need to talk. Talk. That word felt empty. Because talking now wouldn't change what had already happened. Wouldn't erase the hesitation. wouldn't erase the truth. I turned my head slightly. Not fully. Just enough to glance at her one last time. Her eyes met mine instantly. And for the first time, they weren't cold. They weren't distant. They were afraid. That sight almost broke me. Almost. Because this was the version of her I had waited for. The one who cared. The one who felt something real. But it only appeared when I decided to leave. Too late. Far too late. If it takes losing me for you to feel something, I said quietly, then maybe I was never what you truly wanted. Her lips parted. No words came out. Because there was nothing left to say. No explanation strong enough. No excuse believable enough. Just silence. Again. But this time, it wasn't hers. It was mine. I turned fully. Took a step forward. Then another. Each step creating distance. Each step making it harder to turn back. And behind me, she didn't follow. Didn't stop me. Didn't call my name again. Because deep down, she finally understood. This wasn't a moment she could fix. This wasn't something she could control. This was the consequence of saying nothing. And as I walked away into the cold night, I realized something for the first time in 2 years. I didn't feel empty. I didn't feel lost. I felt free. And sometimes, freedom comes at the exact moment you stop waiting to be chosen.